What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another season. And man, what an absolutely beautiful spring we're having here in Canada right now. I'm so stoked, or should I say amped, considering we're out here with my new SurRon Storm Bee. Oh man, this thing is just so mint. I am absolutely amped about this bike. Man, it's so sweet. I got this thing over the winter time, traded in the 300L for this. As you guys know, test rode one of these, had the corduroy. Actually, that was the Enduro model. This is the MX edition, which I'm gonna talk about why I think this is more of a cross-country edition here. Once we get on it and start riding. We have all the spots open up here in the pit. There's just, you know, it's still just March. So, and it is Canada, so there is some snow around. We got the single track is opened up back there, a bit of it. We got a little bit of the cross track in the back. So we're gonna get this thing out and put in some laps as well, as much laps as we can, but I'm interested to get some corners in with you guys today. We got a guy out here ripping his 450. So man, it's riding season here in Canada. I'm so stoked about it. So as always, instead of standing here talking about it, let's get on this machine, go for a ride. Let's go. All right, here she is, the Storm Bee. So before we get on and go for a ride, let's do a quick little walk around, then we'll go for a burn or a shock. I don't know. We're not really burning anything, are we? Well, first I'll just mention why I call this more of like a cross-country version rather than an MX. And one of the big ones, I'm sure you already know, this thing has got a kickstand on it. So kickstand and 18-inch rear wheel, and that's pretty much why I think of it more of like a cross-country model rather than a motocross model. But it does have a more fuller, flatter seat than the Enduro model kickstand. But you know what's cool about it? Just like a KTM does, it's got a little hook up here for it. It comes down. If you're riding on a moto track, that thing's not going anywhere. So I think that's a pretty slick little feature that they got on these things that I didn't notice the first time I rode it. Also, I went to set my sag the other day. Look how easy it is to get to that shock. Man, that's so simple. You just go in there, tighten her down, you're good to go. Aluminum perimeter frame, as you can see on it, like beautiful welds on this frame, man. Like I've had this thing, like I said, since the winter time when I went and traded the 300, so I had some time to kind of look over it. The build quality on this thing is superb. One thing I did not like, as you can probably tell, I pulled the stock graphics off. I think the stock graphics look a little, make it look a little more budget. That kind of black plain look looks really good on it. But we got 47mm inverted forks on it. These are closed cartridge forks, fully adjustable, rebound and compression. You also got a little, you know, the screw there to vent the air out of it after you go for a ride. Fully adjustable rear shock as well. We got a 21 and 18-inch rear wheel. Go grab whatever tires you like and put them right on. I did get out earlier, maybe just last week, for a very, very quick ride. And the ride quality on this bike, you know, I mean, it's one thing to go to a demo ride, you're on a different track, that track was super beat, but having it here at my riding spot, getting to try it, it really emphasizes how good this bike rides, though, you know. Up here we got turbo mode, we got a horn, which I think is really key on electric bikes, something you notice even on like premium bikes like the Varg. People mention, you know, they are quiet, you're on a moto track, people can't hear you. It's nice to have that option to just, you know, press a horn and let people know you're behind there. This is sort of like your neutral button. I'll explain that in a minute. We got eco, rain, or daily, and then sport, and then of course down here we have the reverse, and then there's also additional settings in here that I haven't played with at all. Just in case anybody's wondering, because I do get questions about this kind of stuff, Dunlop MX33s on this thing came with it when I bought it. I was super stoked about that. It's my favorite tire. Tire pressure set to 13 psi. The sag on this thing is set to 95mm, and I've dropped the forks down 4 mil because when I took it out for that first little ride, I felt like the front end was pushing a bit. So we'll see how the forks slip down, make it feel. Front brake up here, rear brake up here, just like a British mountain bike. You know what I mean? And there we go. So starting procedure, turn the key. This is what I mean about this kind of being neutral. Typically what you do is you just grab the front brake. She says she's ready, and then away you'd go. But if you click that, it doesn't matter. Hit the brake, whatever. She's not going anywhere. But it's still live. It's still kind of on. So that's what I mean about this sort of being like your neutral button, right? You press that and then it's still powered up, but you're not kind of going anywhere. So yeah, you turn it on, make sure that's on the turn. Pull, I think it's either brake actually. Let's just see what that does. And then this one. Yeah, so pull either brake lever, and there she goes. So this is eco mode we're on right now. And eco mode what I do want to mention is if you're just doing like regular trail riding, like just going out for a ride with your buddies, eco mode is like you can still, it will still wheelie in eco mode. It will still do all the stuff you want it to do. It's going to be way easier and way less demanding on that battery, because as we all know, there's, you know, you are limited to how much battery you have on this. They claim about 120 kilometers range. I can't confirm, only because I haven't even ridden that far. Like I got it with 150 kilometers on it. It was a demo model, and then I've put 12 on it. Now, that's riding out here wide open, because again, you're just like, how often are you just riding in just an open space like this? You're normally like, if you're like me, you're normally riding in single track. So that was pretty draining on the battery, especially considering I had it in sport mode. But let's go over here to the single track in eco mode, and we'll do a little blast through there. Like even eco mode, right? Like we already got like we were just up to what, 50 some kilometers an hour there. Let's just see what it gets to on eco mode. Wide open here. 60, 65. So we're going 65 kilometers an hour in eco mode. I mean, it's not very often as a single track guy you're going that speed anyway. Through the whoops here. Man, dude, this suspension, this is like knock off. I'm just running the media mod on this. I figure I don't need like an external mic for this thing because it's so quiet. What I want to mention about this suspension, as I mentioned, 47 millimeter closed cartridge fork, inverted rear shock. This is essentially knockoff Showa stuff. So the suspension performance it's awesome. It's really good. And I'll put a link down to another guy who's actually opening this stuff up. And you can notice in some places he's, you know, the piston in the rear shock is just like a nylon piston. It's not like a brass piston with a Teflon ring on it. So there is some budget stuff in there, but it's fully rebuildable, valveable, you know, whatever you want to do, right? You can do it. So yeah, this is pretty much the only single track that's open in my area right now. But let's scoot through here on eco mode, and then I want to talk about sport and rain, and we'll do 3 laps through here doing that, and I'll just kind of talk about it, and we'll go eco, then sport, then rain, because that's what I did the first time I was out, and I learned some things about it. So enough talking, man. Let's get into this, man. Like, we're not here to listen to you just blabble sitting there. Oh man, riding way better with those forks sunk down. I'll tell you that right now. It is a little bit of a thing with that rear brake being up on your fingers, but you're pulling that lever in anyway when you hit the rear brake, because that's where your clutch is. That's eco mode, right? Like, that's plenty of jam for just riding single track, dude. That's plenty. Plenty of jam. Especially for the average guy who's just going out having a good time. Plenty. Okay. Let's click that guy into sport. Now, once you're in sport, you'll see this T illuminates, and that gives you turbo. And we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay. Sport mode through the woods. And dude, sport mode is pretty wild on this thing. I mean, you look at the specs, the thing has like 320 foot-pounds of torque. That's like a 69 Charger, dude. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo! Man, she gets rowdy in that sport mode. Sport mode. So one thing I want to say about that. Sport mode is very aggressive off the bottom. There's places in here where I really need to be mindful because it sort of goes whoop. It kind of slides out. It's just putting so much to the ground, which is the nature of an electric motor. Like if you're just riding sand like this, it's mint. Like open stuff like that, oh yeah, sport mode all day long, baby. It's wild. So, rain mode, and you can do these on the fly. So if you get good enough at just reaching over, I mean, sport's easy. Just jam her to the left. Rain's a little harder to find because you kind of have to go back a little bit, and you know what I mean. So let's talk about rain mode, and let's just talk a little bit. Actually, let's go through the woods first, then we'll talk about it, okay? That stick is right there, right? You? All right, man, that is the single track mode. So it being rain mode, and let's come out here and I'll show you. Let's just turn around here. We'll do like some drag runs, and I'll show you. I don't know if this will really show it off, but I'm sure you can hear it in the motor. Sport mode. You see how it just takes off like crazy and it spins? It just spins like mad at the beginning because it's just trying to lay all that power down all at once. Look at that. Now I'll start next to it in rain mode. In rain mode, I don't know this from a statistic or not a statistic. I don't know this as a fact from specs because I can't find that spec. But it feels out of the saddle like rain mode has the same power as sport. It just applies it a bit differently, okay? So let's start here. Hear that? And then it really comes to life up there. So you're getting the same amount of juice, but the tractability is far superior. So when you're riding single track, you don't necessarily want this thing revving up like an animal and start snaking all over the place. You want that tractable power, and see the difference here? So you're getting the same amount of jam. It's not accelerating quite as hard, but the power is more tractable. One's like revving up the clutch, revving up the bike with the clutch in and dumping it out of corners. And the other one's like, you're just maintaining the power through it and just putting the power down smoothly and more tractably. So that's why I think rain mode, and why I like that they call it daily as well, in the actual manual, is because that is honestly the mode I think you should be in most of the time, because the power is tractable. You know what I mean? It's not so explosive. Now, if you're on a sand track, you kind of need that burst. So I understand having sport mode there, and you know, it's also just a ton of fun. But let's show you guys turbo mode, because turbo mode, this thing is an absolute weapon. So this thing is 22.5 kilowatts peak power. So that translates to about 30 mechanical horsepower, which I know doesn't sound like much. But that's only when you're in turbo mode. When you're in sport mode, it's actually only producing 10.5 kilowatts or something, which is closer to 15 horse. But the thing is, because it's an electric motor, it's producing that 15 horse everywhere. And it really makes you realize how infrequently, I guess is the way to say it, you're actually utilizing that much horsepower, especially as a single track kind of guy. You're almost never needing that much horsepower, which is again why I like having that rain mode. So it just puts the power to the ground way more usably. So yeah, let's hit this turbo mode, and you notice it blinks so when it's on, it's not on turbo mode. As soon as you hit it, and it will sit there forever, I noticed. until you use it. I even tried turning it off and turning it back on again. To a degree, I wish you could hit the brakes and cancel it, because I think the only time you need it is in a straightaway, but sometimes it lasts longer than a straightaway. But let's get on this thing. It's wild. It's wild. Like it's so much. Like you have to do anything, and the thing just lights up. It's a weapon in turbo mode, an absolute weapon. It's crazy in turbo mode. I like riding, and obviously that's very draining on the battery too. But as I mentioned, having that access to that power all the time, it's you know, let's get this thing into daily. Having access to the power all the time, you like I said, it's infrequent that you actually ever need it. I'm hoping this comes through okay, the audio, because like I said, because it's so quiet, I figured the mic wouldn't be compensating for the engine. So hopefully you can hear me just fine. Okay, so I'm kind of wondering how, I know it's gonna be muddy. Oh yeah, down the stretch here. Oh, he was out on it. Not very hard, but he was out on it. The guy in the 450, he's already tacked up and left. Actually, this is open enough. You could just do a quick turn and then go back into there. There was a huge amount of water in there the other day. Look at the turkey footprints, eh? Like they're just humongous. Let's do just a quick little sight lap around this. I think these guys are all done, and we'll put these back. That stick's not in our way now. Oh, we got down into that one. Holy smokes. That was a bit much. Laid it down a little hard into that. But I've been really liking standing up through that one. Standing up through that's been good. I was practicing that at the end of last year. Actually, only December 27th. That's all been. December 27th to March 12th. That's a pretty short off season in Canada, I'll tell you that right now. How easy this thing is to just ride slow. It's butter smooth. I mean, of course it would be. Now I know I'm sure people are gonna ask about the weight, because it is, on a scale, it is heavy. It's 290 pounds, but it doesn't feel like it. There's no rotating mass in there. It doesn't feel like that much weight. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty amped on this bike. It's a good time. It is a good time machine. Dude, you can get so into that corner. Oh my God, this thing is absolutely epic. I love this thing. I'm not one to use that word a lot, but this bike, it's unlike anything you've ever rode before. And like I said, it's one thing to kind of get like wooed by it when you're out at a test and you're just kind of trying them out and everything, but to really get to have it at your own place and really put it to use, man, it really just shows how, like it starts to emphasize it, because you're used to it. You know how this is supposed to feel, you know, and then you add this to it. Despite your, like, I don't know, this thing is, despite your feelings on electric, man, it's hard. Once you've rode one and you realize how how good it allows you. Like it allows you to start advancing your skills a little bit. Like you can be standing up longer. I mean, you got the rear brake up here. You can be so much more finessey with the controls because you have so much more control in your finger than you do in your foot. You really start to be able to, you know, be more on the balls of your feet all the time, remaining in that attack position, standing longer, be smoother on the brake. Like this rain mode here, or daily mode, is such an awesome setting. Like I said, that's the one I'm probably going to be in all the time because it's just so tractable, the power. And it's enough. Like, man, for the most part, if you're maintaining speed, you're already sort of past the point a little bit, but not completely, and that's why it's still usable. You're sort of almost past the point where it's kind of lagging versus the sport mode, but you're still at a point where you need it to still be, you know, managing how the power curve gets there. You know what I mean? It's and like I said, this is with 15 horsepower technically. All this. Dude, you get so into it. Oh. Oh. First time I dropped it into this, and look at that mud. Oh no. That was a brand new lever. Did its job. Well, I guess I'll have to order another one of those up. Actually, I got another one. It's bent, but maybe I can heat it up and straighten it out. It must have hit the frozen dirt. It must have went in far enough that it hit the frozen dirt. There you go. You got to see it. The first crash on the SurRon. That was kind of a dopey crash, wasn't it? Okay. There's another section of this track that's a little opened up that I actually want to get into on it. Man, this thing, dude, this thing is so fun. Let's take it back through there again. This is, I gotta bring it in here. I can't be out in that, I can't be out just going wide open in that pit. That's just so boring. Dude, so good, so good. Oh man. Man, you could get into that. Oh, and we should try and get one of those for a thumbnail pic. Laying her down. Let's go get the and not ride into this and break my lever further. We'll just go over here. Dope. And we'll go get the real camera. What are you doing? Hey? Hey? See my dirty car. Monster Energy and M&M's. That's how we get juiced up for a ride. Breakfast of champions. Not even close. So this is a pretty, and I'm not really gonna be discussing range too much, because even out here, I'm like riding this thing flat out on a sandy track. So I don't think we're gonna get like a realistic for going out trail riding sort of thing. We're riding pretty much, yeah, like we're flat out. This is a very open, and like it's sandy, and where it's not sandy, it's mucky. So like I will do a range test on it, but I'm gonna do that at the Midhurst Trail Ride, where we're gonna ride single track all day in eco mode and see what kind of range we can get out of it. Where do you think is gonna be the best spot? You think right here? You think that's gonna be a good spot for a photo? Let's go put the bike in the corner, so that way we can see how big it is in the shot. I mean, that's important when you're out here filming by yourself. If you don't got a cameraman, you kind of got to take some extra steps. Like, this is a pretty sweet. My mother-in-law gave me and Em this tripod. We use it all the time for like this kind of thing. It's just simple. So look, it's just so light and simple to set up. Sorny. Oh, a genuine Panaphonics when I see one. Simpsons reference. You gotta own like 18 different subscriptions to watch it. Let's set her up. Holy smokes. Oh yeah, well we can definitely speed up that shutter. 2000, well I don't necessarily want my ISO at 1600, so let's bring that down to like 400 ISO. We're good. Look at that. We got her, she's level right out of the box. Maybe we'll darken it up. Maybe we'll have to turn that up a bit. Let's bring this to like a 4 point or a 5.0. It's usually the sharpest. And then we'll bring her in to where it seems to make sense. Ooh, that's a little bit juicy. There we go. Focus area, zone. Yeah, that zone is where we want it. There, and now we just record, and then we'll have to grab it, because that's how we're gonna have to do it, because I can't take a photo while I'm riding the bike. Dude, this thing looks like a race bike too. That's what I like about it. It's got like such a great race bike stance. Like, it's not, this bike flies under the radar a little bit. Now, I think I'm gonna make a video about that, talking about how more people should be looking at this bike. I think we'll do one more. We dragged a foot through that one, I think. That was like the best one. My foot got into the soft dirt and blew it up. That one was actually pretty good, but I wanted to hit it harder, I guess. Oh, yeah. Let's go put this shit away. Let's do a couple extra laps. Hey. Good. Boy. Hey, man. Out on the bike today?
Yeah. They wanted me to. I was tempted to sell it or not, and they said no, so.
Yeah. Nice. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for today. Came back to drop off the camera equipment, and about six new guys showed up to the pit. You know, sometimes in these pits there's no real set direction, so sometimes when it starts getting busy, it's better just play her safe and ride another day. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys like content like this, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and hit that bell so when I release new videos you guys get a notification. Until the next one, peace.